paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. It's another week here in 2023, and I am back with Cass and DJ for our episode this week. Welcome in, everybody. Cass, welcome back. How were your holidays? Let's catch up. It's been a little bit.
My holidays were super chill. I did approximately nothing other than eat good food and spend time with good people. So, fantastic.
That sounds ideal. Any Christmas and or New Year's or any other celebration you come back with from family without horror stories is always a plus.
The secret is to avoid the family.
Yeah.
Well, there's the John Mulaney bit where he talks about the difference between doing nothing as a kid versus an adult. Like when you get back from Christmas break as a 7-year-old, and you're like, I didn't do anything. It was dumb. And then you're just at 25, you're like, I did nothing. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. That's certainly a large part of my motivation during breaks, I'll say that. Just the idea of sitting at home with no kids and nothing to do. That's when you bust out the World of Warcraft, you know?
Just bust out a video game, eat some garbage food, don't get up for 6 hours.
My old college roommate sent me a 6-pound bag of gummy bears for Christmas.
That's a lot of gummy bears, my man.
I'm like
a lot of gummy.
I'm like a third of the way through it.
Yeah, you're
You're 2 pounds in, DJ.
It's a lot of gummy bears. Don't
yeah,
get me
dude. That's
wrong.
like a lot of your body weight. You got to be
That
careful
bag's got
with
some
that.
heft. It's up there.
Man, your friend's got to be careful. That's a lot of candy for you, man. That's a large percentage of your body weight. So you're gonna ruin your 2% body fat or whatever.
The lean, mean gummy bear machine, DJ W. Johnson.
That's my 1940s bowling nickname, right?
Yeah, dude, the gummies are keeping you from climbing as fast as you could climb. You're just gonna jump and you're gonna break your other knee. And you're gonna be like, shit, it was that last gummy. It was that last pound of gummies. And I've pounded a lot of gummies in my day, if you know what I mean.
It's true.
Corbin does weed. That's what we mean. We're talking about the marijuana.
It's not what we were talking about.
Soccer moms, cover your ears.
Corbin has a substance problem.
Clutch your pearls.
Oh, man. Well, welcome in to the show, everybody. We have, I don't know if you all heard, but there were some releases of some Phyrexia cards. Stop me if you've heard this before. Leaks and new Phyrexia. But we've got a lot of that going on. But before we get into that, and of course we've got our segment sponsored by our sponsors, as always. But first, going around the internet, there's been...
Did you say as always twice?
As always? Well, what else
As
would it
always.
be? It's the redundancy department of redundancy.
Making sure to lay it on thick this time.
Yeah, listen.
Thick like a 6-pound bag of gummy bears. Got it.
Our viewers and listeners want to know the consistency is here. They want to show up every week and be able to expect the same thing. Never change. Stay the course. That's my advice for everybody.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the thing you're doing on the internet that's working for you right now, it's exactly what will work in 10 years. Change nothing.
Commit to the bit, and you will always succeed.
Yeah, well, going
God,
around...
what did 10 years ago DJ look
man,
like?
DJ, you were 13 and you were playing Pokemon.
Well, that's timely, right? That because it was new Phyrexia 10 years ago.
It was, I guess, yeah.
Was new.
It
was
so old.
It was April 19th, 2011, I think it was, because I tweeted about it recently, asking where were you when the where were you when the when the new Phyrexia leak happened? I was sitting at a doctor's appointment. With a
DJ.
budget Razer flip phone on an MIRC chat while my friend was trying to feed me the links, and I was opening them up one at a time, waiting as the picture scrolled up to open so I could read the card text. Just brewing. I remember just reading, oh my god, mutagenic growth. What?
I imagine I was in a solemn day of remembrance as April 19th is the memorial of a terrorist attack here in Oklahoma City. So when you're where were you on April 19th? I was like, is this like a 9/11 joke? Is this like...
I was in Virginia. It
Where
was
are we
not a
going
big deal.
with this, man?
I was probably on MTG Salvation, and like the aggro deck forums, someone was like, mutagenic growth changes everything.
You know what I was saying at that time? Still not better than Merfolk.
Sure
Now I
you
want to
were.
hear. I want to hear the country song of like, where were you when the 9/11 Phyrexia Leak happened? Like, where were you when the God book was spoiled by a French guy?
It's
I
just
love
the
that-
same
love that
the
song.
same song as like the Never Forget songs or whatever, but instead it's just like Never Forget the Phyrexian Invasion.
I meant for you. I was gonna have you all listen to the Boot in Your guy.
Oh,
His latest lyrics, I think you'll like.
Well,
So
also,
wait,
American and Phyrexian have the exact same. Like you can interchange those.
yeah.
Like we'll put a boot in your ass the Phyrexian way or whatever. You know.
that was spot on, Cass.
Thank
That's
you.
a
I listened
matter
to
of
a lot of
fact.
country growing up.
Dominaria has to have like Phyrexian Truthers, right? like their
Yes.
friends getting completed and their faces melting off, and they're like, "You should try this ivermectin. It's
Like-
it worked for me."
This is a Shivan psyop right now. You can't convince me this is real.
Outnumbered on this particular debate today.
But
So-
listen, we'll help you out then, DJ. Speaking of other things going around the internet, there's a lot of talk recently about Magic is dead. And if you specifically know what I'm talking about, apparently Magic is doing so well that Magic is in fact dead. There's been several posts going around.
Did we hit
talking
like the
about-
stack overflow or something? What is
Yeah,
like?
yeah, we have
Wizards
posts going
made
around.
65,535 different cards or whatever the number is. So now
Yeah,
we're at
just-
-1 for Magic's life.
We maxed
like-
out. We maxed out and we started the counter over, bro.
WotC made too much money and they ran out of places to store it. So now they're having to like rent a bunch of apartments in downtown New York. That's expensive.
It's
Just
just
to
the whole
house their cash.
It's the whole
Yeah.
Pretty Patty episode all over again.
Listen, I
Correct.
don't want to get too into the weeds here, but people are out there saying that there is too much product and it's making it unprofitable to be a Magic vendor, and that there's a lot of it's similar to the Bank of America complaints. There's a lot of extra unsold product sitting around, all of this stuff. And look, there's something to it. We had different people saying different things. There were several articles that went around. But obviously the two of you are two of the most qualified people in the world to talk about this. I mean, do you look at the retracement of Magic single prices, for instance, over the past 12 months and see you come away with any kind of, dire concern? Is this Wizards printing the market into dust by overprinting, or is this Wizards doing what everyone always wanted them to do and reprinting a bunch of cards so they're all $1?
Do you want to go ahead and take point on this one, DJ, or should I?
So I think that there are some bad aspects to this in that there are certain cards that were $5 to $10 2 years ago, and now they are actual bulk rares, and that is a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other aspects to this that I do not think are as much of a problem as people are making it out to be. I think that I don't think the reserve list is dying because of 30th anniversary products. That was a claim that was being made that I think is silly. I don't think that the number of products coming out is that bad. There are issues with like the number of variants to a degree. Some of them are cool, some of them aren't. I think that Magic should do more ultra insane rarity stuff that they're not doing enough of, and I think that they are trying to make base level cool stuff like foil commons and uncommons should just mostly not exist in packs.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be able to get like a regular foil common or uncommon in a collector booster. Bulk foil commons and uncommons are down to 2 cents per thousand or $2 per thousand.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's really rough.
They're worthless. Like you
Yeah.
can't sell bulk foil commons and uncommons from recent sets because they're just garbage. I think that foils should still be cool when they are cool. It should be meaningful to get a foil card.
Actually, on that note, I think there's a really good thing that WotC did recently, which was the serialized cards.
Yes.
Brothers War
we
is one of
talked
the
about
best.
that last year. Yeah.
It's one of
Yeah,
the best
they're
sets for value in the middle, which I think is kind of like the point of a lot of these articles, whether they realize it or not,
Yeah.
is that the middle is kind of falling out of Magic, right? Like every card is either super expensive or super cheap.
Mhm.
And one of the sets that did this the best of having cards in the middle price range, like I think there are like 5 or 6 mythics in Brothers War that are like $10 plus, which is pretty fantastic.
Yes.
There are also rares that are worth something, and it's because, the set both had a cool gimmick in every pack, which is like the retro schematics, but then also it has the like super high chase rarity, like serialized cards. So people are incentivized to open a spread of product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think it is bad that like you can't have all of the $30 Staff of Dominations go to $1.
Right.
If you have a local game store that has a display case of just like probably $20,000 or $30,000 in singles, and then that goes to $4,000 or $5,000 in singles over the course of 2 years, that's very bad for that store.
Yeah.
There's an argument there that they should adapt, which like I do think that store should try to adapt to that situation beforehand and try to profitize their space better, like maybe charge for table space and just like sell either bulkier cards or only reserve list cards.
But like game stores are not agile enough to do stuff like that, and the charging for table space stuff is never gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's weird because like someone like, you know, a backpack dealer who sells on Facebook or who sells on Discord, those people are actually the ones who are the least punished by these changes, because the only thing that you get punished for now is holding inventory. Buying inventory, having it for a short while, like you should be turning your inventory every 2 months just as like a risk mitigation factor. And turning 6 times a year sucks as a business.
It is a lot of effort, yes.
It's also just, it reduces your margins, right? Like when you
higher
have
cost of labor, higher cost of just like shipping and just everything. And
so where do
I
you
think?
Go ahead. Sorry.
LGS is like the real thing they have to do, and I think this has kind of been a thing for a long time, is they either have to be willing to sacrifice community aspects and focus on doing a much leaner, you know, just online retail setting with a small physical space, or lean heavily into the physical space and offer basically like a service industry thing of space to play that incentivizes player. Like when I go to my LGS, I'll pretty happily pay an extra 10-15% on a card if they just have it there for me to play with that night.
Yep, that was certainly the model.
Having players in your store who are trained to do that sort of thing and who show up every week, like that's a big part of it. And it's possible that, you know, neither of those strategies are wholly effective and you have to find somewhere in between, but LGSs definitely need to change what they're doing, but they have to find it to do it in the way that their actual level of agility can match.
Yeah, so as an example, this is something that was called out in one of the posts. The quote is, "Singles like Vendilion Click and Containment Priest are a great example of cards that were once $20 to $40 all-stars that are now literal bulk dollar rares."
Well, those cards aren't played anymore is the thing. Like that
also,
argument...
those cards had artificial scarcity.
I mean, certainly the Containment Priest.
Like, you can't use Tarmogoyf as an argument for, like, magic prices dying when Ragavan exists.
Click 2 also had a very weird supply issue, because it was printed in...
Morningtide.
What was it?
Morningtide, which was, like, right before economic downturn, and also...
It was a four-set
like sandwiched,
year.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason we had an argument of, like, the Lauren block is the pseudo-reserve list, because you had the $70 Greater Oromancies and the Mana Reflections and the Reese the Redeemed...
But just like P3K, when you reprint those things, they crater.
Die. Yeah.
Yes, Warrior's Oath is not a card, yes.
Well, and that's the...
Right.
Look, what struck me as interesting is that a lot of the, I don't want to say content creator, a lot of the online discourse and community was, these are an example of Wizards being bad at management, and therefore the game is dying, Magic is dying, and here's the proof. Right?
Right.
It's the same people who are saying the Wizards should make every card $1. Like, isn't this... It's important for us to talk about the vendor side of things, but also, is this not what the Magic community has wanted? Singles printed into the ground?
Well, and the people that are happy about this aren't tweeting about it.
Yeah.
The people, they're too busy filling their cart with, like, sub $1 cards that used to be 18 and just, like, buying commander decks that are from Card Kingdom or TCG, and they're just, like, playing those decks and then selling those decks to a vendor 2 weeks later.
Yeah, you know who loses really hard in all of this? I think it's me, with just tens of thousands of dollars of picks stuck away in boxes in a closet when we moved. These were literally the last, like, 4 years of picks are just in one rows, right? Like, because picking's fun. Selling cards less fun, but picking's fun. So I could always do the picking so I could get rid of the bulk in my house.
It's because you get to pretend that you made money already.
Correct. Yeah, without the hard work. You just watch TV and pick cards. No, I would very slowly sell off through picks and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm the person who's going to get really punished by having a bunch of $1 to $2 cards 2 years ago, you know. But
which the part of the community that wants $1 cards for everything are the people who really will be happy about that because they hate the shadowy finance cabal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I have always advocated churning on this podcast when it comes to picking your cards and then selling them and then using that money to buy the next collection and just having money available to always just be the person that says...
No, having money available was my problem, DJ.
One of the
if
best
I didn't have any money available, I would have had to sell them.
One of the best pieces of Magic Finance advice I've ever been given was be the kind of person who has enough money where you don't care about the price of Magic cards. And if that ain't the truth.
Well, that's good life advice, I imagine, yeah. All right, I'm sure we're going to talk more about this after all. This is Brainstorm Brewery, it's a finance podcast. We're going to be talking. We've been talking about it, and we continue to talk about it. What are your thoughts, though? Let's hear it. I'd love actually to be able to fill an episode with some feedback from listeners. You know, what do you think is going to happen in the future, the now future, the next 6-12 months with Magic and the economy? We're heading into, you know, what a lot of people think is going to be a continued recession. It's no longer flush with crypto money. There's lots of things to go into it. So I'd love to hear what your predictions are, or what cards you want to target for the next 6 to 12 months. All right,
I've got a better. No, I've
go ahead,
got
DJ.
a better way to do that, Corbin. So, if you're listening to this podcast, do you remember in gym class when they made you like pick a partner, and then you had to like go do something with that partner, and you were like kind of not cool with it, and it's like whatever. But like, okay, so pick a partner in the YouTube comments, and then just argue with them incessantly. Like find somebody, just scroll down. It's not going to take long. Scroll down to find somebody where you're like that guy.
Be the DJ to someone else's Saffron Olive,
and then just share your reply to them, not to us. We might not read it, but that person will.
Yeah, you gotta listen. Go full DJ. Put Saffron Olive on push notifications on your phone and get in those replies. You can do it.
All right. Go to your neighbor's house, knock on the door, say, hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? When they say I don't have sugar, you punch them in the face, and you get on the ground and you wrestle them. You fight them like it's your last day on Earth. We want you to do that in our comments.
And if you're declared the winner, you win nothing.
Free sugar.
But you do lose.
You win a free premium Brainstorm Brewery subscription.
Oh, shit.
Not to Patreon, but to our podcast.
If you do want the Patreon, you'll have to go to patreon.com/BSB.
And that costs money. We can't afford to give that up.
All right. Next up, it is what is described as, I venture to say many people, as the best segment in all of Magic Finance. It is an honor. It is a privilege to introduce Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
I mean, I was hyped up to disagree with you because I thought you were gonna sort of toot your own horn and speak about your own ability to play this game, but you're just like, no, it's a good game, and you know what?
I've been watching a lot of sports talk shows, stealing the best of the intros here. We're doing it. We're doing a media.
I agree this is my favorite part of the podcast.
It is fun. Although I have to say the drawing game we came up with last week on the spot will be making a reappearance.
There's a drawing game?
Oh, Cass is making a reappearance tonight.
I got a whiteboard and everything.
Oh, hell yeah.
For those who did not listen to last week's episode, because you're a brand new babyface listener straight out of the I was gonna say the card sorting machine or something. I don't know, but like
okay. DJ
I made Corbin draw the invasion set symbol, which was described as quote a triangle thingy.
That's pretty accurate.
Sure.
And because this is my favorite part of the podcast, I'm gonna start. I have a rare from Fallen Empires.
God.
Didgeridoo. That's from Homelands.
You self-corrected.
Are there rares in Fallen Empires that everything was like uncommon 1, uncommon 2?
Sunken Kingdom.
It is described as a rare.
Sunken City is the one I was thinking of.
Soldevi Excavations? That's Alliances, isn't it?
This is a green Fallen Empires rare.
Force of Nature.
Is it one of the Saproling cards?
It does say Spore Counter on it.
It's like the one that's like a 2-mana enchantment. I don't know the name of the card. No,
you got half of that. You got half of that description correctly.
It's the card Thallid Generator.
It is either 2 mana or it is an enchantment.
I think it's an enchantment. It might be 3 mana, and it like fogs or something by removing spore counters.
You're thinking of Spore Cloud. It is not Spore Cloud.
That's the card I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I got nothing.
I used to pick these cards from bulk all the time.
Well, if you picked an elvish farmer recently,
Yep.
you'll be pleasantly surprised that most stores sell this card for around $4. Some are higher. Buy lists are between $1, $1.50, $2. This is a 2-mana 0/2 creature. It is an elf. During your upkeep, put a spore counter on it. You have got the old Fallen Empire's spore counter stuff of paying 0 to remove 3 spore counters to put a sapperling into play. Sacrifice a sapperling to gain 2 life whenever you want.
What was the name of this thing?
Elvish Farmer.
There you go.
It's got some Richard Kane Ferguson art on there, and it is never been
I guess.
reprinted.
This card's sweet.
All right.
It's on the reserve list, by the way, just in case you.
You got me. You got me with your old card, as you do. I'm gonna hit you with a brand new one that you all will never get. Jumpstart 2022 White Uncommon.
Jumpstart 2022. What else?
What was? Is this the
Name
original printing?
name. Yeah, this is one printing of this card. You're gonna love it when you. I didn't know it existed until recently. I found it.
Is it
You're gonna
the
love
angel?
when you hear what it does. It is not an angel.
No, he said Jumpstart 2022.
I didn't even know it was in the set, to be honest with you, until I found this card and started digging through and into it. It's a white uncommon. It's a creature, and it's $1, and it's probably gonna be $1 or more for a long time.
Is it the Lion Cub?
Nope.
I'm thinking of like Jumpstart-ish stuff. I'm gonna reverse engineer this one. So does it gain life?
Yes.
Is it a soul
Wait,
sister?
let me read.
Is it a soul sister?
Yes.
Okay, that's my guess. It's the Jumpstart 2022 soul sister. I had no idea what the card's name is.
I guess I'll give that to you. It's Distinguished Conjurer. It is a 2-mana 1/2.
Tell me what it does.
Sister.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain a life. Okay, Soul Sister ability. 5 mana, tap it. Exile another target creature you control, return to the battlefield.
From what, the graveyard? Oh no,
From play. From play. So yeah, so you've
cool.
got an uncommon from however many packs of Jumpstart were open. That is a Soul Sister plus a blink effect on a repeatable blink effect on a stick. So I have to like its chances of staying at $1.
Yeah.
Big fan of this one.
That is 2 great tastes that taste great together.
Yeah. All right, Cass, what do you got?
I have a Ravnica City of Guilds rare.
Fido Hydra?
Well, what color?
It's
What
red.
color?
It's red.
Hunted
In the
Dragon?
eye of chaos.
No.
Hunted Dragon?
It's a sorcery, I believe.
Is it the Flame Fusillade or something like Fusillade?
Ooh, Flame Fusillade.
Yeah. I've been really hot on that card.
That card's sweet.
Ever since Gearson Starn got printed, because you just play that card with 10 permanents in play, and you just tap your remaining 6 permanents to deal 3 damage, probably deal 18 damage to a player. Or if you have untap effects, it gets even stronger. Card's $1. I pick them out of bulk rares still. It's one of those cards that's powerful in a couple of decks and actually sells at over $1. So
Has this ever been reprinted?
I don't believe so.
Wow, not a single reprint ever in its life.
I straight forgot that card existed.
I mean, it makes sense. It's historically not a good card, but
Yeah.
It has a cool piece of Magic history, actually. For those listening at home, Flame Fusillade was played with Time Vault in a tournament between erratas on Time Vault, where you could just untap Time Vault for free and skip a turn.
Yep.
So you would just play Fusillade with Time Vault and play and kill your opponent. That doesn't work that way anymore, but it's a fun Magic fact.
Time
That is a
Vault's
good
errata
fact.
is just the patch notes on League of Legends, right? It's just they
And
change that card every week for a while until they figured out that okay, now it's not broken. Now there you go.
It's a new release champion in League of Legends. It gets buffed 4 times in the first week and then nerfed for the next 3 months after that.
Yeah.
And speaking of errata,
Speaking of errata, go ahead, Cass.
I believe we wanted to discuss tonight the MTG Alchemy cards, and could Paper Magic ever have actual erratas?
So this is a topic that I thought of recently because I have been getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit again. I grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And looking back at some of the old cards that I used to play with, a lot of them have just been flat errata'd. Just this card worked this way back then, and we nerfed it and unbanned it, and now it is sometimes it's unplayable, sometimes it's just good enough, sometimes they got it just right. But like Yu-Gi-Oh has done this so many times for so many older cards. Sometimes they've done it for newer cards, but like Alchemy is just over a year old now. Alchemy was announced December of 2021, and we've had we've had about a year of that format. And I mean, I personally don't play Alchemy. I personally haven't been keeping up to date with the patch notes, but it is a thought that sparked in my head of like, can Magic errata cards, like let's say they print the next Oko, they print the next oopsie card that should not have been printed the way it is, can they just nerf the card in paper or buff a card in paper? Clearly they don't. This is a very minor use case. They don't do this all the time, but they just release a super banned card, and then instead of banning it, they just say, no, we'll just add 1 mana cost, or no, we'll add minus a loyalty or something. And then as that card gets reprinted throughout its life cycle, it has the new text. Wizards reprints cards a lot more nowadays. Very quickly, there will be more of the errated version out there than not.
So
the first thing already.
Yeah, the first thing I think of isn't Yu-Gi-Oh's competitive format like one format?
There are 2 competitive formats in Yu-Gi-Oh. Historically, there have been recent sort of variants on that with like the old school and pre-middle school-esque kind of Yu-Gi-Oh formats. But generally, as a hyper competitive game, there is just advanced and traditional, which is like vintage and legacy, basically. There's no standard format in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, so that immediately jumps out to me, is that when you're playing at a power level that high, it's probably fine to mess with your cards, right? Makes less sense to do it when you're going to do it 6 months into a card's 18 months standard life.
Well, it's also a factor of like, if someone's playing Yu-Gi-Oh, if they're playing tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh where the errata matters, they are enfranchised enough to know all the cards that are relevant from the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Because there's no standard. But most of Magic is played with cards from the last couple years. And I think that like that shorter lifespan of cards, players have less time to become enfranchised and understand these things.
So, I mean, we've seen posts on like Reddit and stuff once Alchemy like came out a few months into Alchemy's life cycle of like, my opponent thought I was playing a nerfed Goldspan Dragon. So we've already had that sort of interaction of like arena player comes to paper and experiences the card game differently.
Sure.
So my like high level take on it is that Alchemy as an idea, we're going to rebalance cards in standard, was pretty popular with people in regards to arena. What people really, 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 really did not like is we're going to design cards specifically for arena that are not in standard sets. They're, you know, it's so not like that you get a fixed,
seek perpetually.
Right. You don't get a fixed, quote unquote, fixed version of standard on arena. You get Alchemy, and it is its own thing, and you cannot casually do it, and there's no coverage of it anywhere, and there's no content. So when you talk about who is it for, it's for like the hardcore arena grinders only. Yeah. And even then, you talk about, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Specialize. There was one card, I just remember a card I played quite a bit of that could specialize into 5 different colors or something. But then you look in paper and the same art is on a different card that not only is not special, like it doesn't have, it's something wholly different. And I didn't know that. I thought, and that's just, I mean, look, they're like, look, we're going to shake up 30 years by now we can rebalance cards. And then they were like, you know what? We're going to do all this other stupid that no one wants, and now everyone's just going to throw their hands up in the air at it.
But that's the execution of it, not the design, right?
But like,
yes. But like,
Omnath...
can Wizards execute on the design? The answer seems to be no.
Like, I agree with that. I think 5-mana Omnath is a flop. Like, that card, that's not interesting for anybody. But like, Oracle of the Alpha...
4 mana... Or what?
They added like a mana to it, I think.
If
right?
they
I thought when you say 5 mana, my mind goes to 5 color.
Oh no, sorry.
Because I'm like, wait, there's a 5 color Omnath? What? Did I miss something?
No,
you're talking about
added
like
a
the
colorless
nerfed.
mana.
Yeah.
That card does nothing for me. It leaves me feeling unsatisfied and wanting more. Oracle of the Alpha, a card I've never played with. Is a card I've considered proxying and putting in a cube.
Yep.
Yeah, the Power 9 bird, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just like shuffles a copy of the Power 9 into your deck. Like that's sweet. Make cards for Magic's version of Hearthstone. Don't make Magic cards that would be paper cards, just different for the sake of balancing things.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so these are two different. You two
They
have the
are.
exact opposite opinion.
Those are two different. Well, I'm not opposed to what Cass is saying. It's just different. The point is, Wizards they're doing two different things. They're trying to make Magic Hearthstone while at the same time trying to make it fixed standard. And it's just, it's kind of neither. It's like the worst. It's like they nerf your favorite standard deck, but then they put a bunch of new cards in there, and also there's no play to actually know what's good. And it just ends up completely siphoning off that part of the game. So to answer your question, to answer the prompt, can they do it? I think yes, and I think there's a lot of ways they could have done it successfully. If all that stuff
there's precedent with Companion.
There is. And if that stuff was only, say, for Historic on Arena, I think it might have even gone better. But as it is, Arena suffers from having far too many formats. And now Arena is completely divorced from the Pro Tour and all paper professional Magic. So it's just not even, you can get to the Pro Tour via Arena or whatever, but it's not at all the same. This is different worlds entirely.
We also have the issue that people bring up a lot when it comes to Alchemy of what happens when a customer walks into your LGS and says, hey, you have this card, and the card doesn't exist. Yeah. I am someone who is an enfranchised player. I've been playing, my Magic career is old enough to drink. And I was building a commander deck the other day, and I was I looked up a card on TCG Player, and I was like, oh, this card doesn't exist. Or as I read it. And that becomes way worse when someone looks up, Luris of the Dream Den, and they see that this card exists without the errata, and they go to purchase a copy, and they get it in the mail. It's not the card they saw on the internet. At least to feel bad, and there's logistics issues, and there's also format balancing issues. I don't think in our lifetime we will see Magic errata-ing cards as a normal safety valve on power level of formats in paper. I think we might see, we've seen the shift to more liberal banning, but I think what we're going to see is an increased amount of resources put into play design, so it happens less, as we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of years of design have been almost ban-free, right?
Almost, I guess, is the way to look at it. Yeah, it has been a few years now. Right, we're in 2023. So what I promise you, whatever ban you're thinking of was a while ago, unless it was a New York massacre. So
also, we're not counting the initiative stuff because WotC didn't test that stuff because they don't care.
Well,
they didn't test it for constructed. I think that's fine. They're building a commander set.
Yep.
Yeah.
It also is objectively funny that the best deck in Legacy is mono white now.
And that it's a commander deck, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me. I am the meta now.
All it's missing is its companion as its commander at this point, right? Unnerf companion, please. So
I did see it was like a KCI-esque, like an egg style modern deck, I think, where it's your only actual colored cards are Ancient Stirrings and Veil of Summer, and it's Gigantha, it's fine.
Yeah, well, that is...
If you cut this... Yeah. If you cut the Stirrings, you could play Omori, because every other card in the deck was an artifact or a land.
Woo! Yep. Omori's a cool one, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, is companions were cool.
They
just were super broken. But awesome cube mechanic.
It really is a great cube mechanic, yeah.
Opening Yorion, pack one, pick one cube, is really fun, I have to say. It's not even that the deck you end up with is ever it gives you an entirely different mini game to play, and it's fun for cube. Not very fun for standard and modern. Fun for draft, even, frankly.
One of my favorite commander decks that I own actually has Luris as the companion.
Oh, nice.
It's partners the two Friends Forever, blue, red, and white, black one, whatever they're called, Vernog and something else, Bjorna, I think.
Also, a fun fact, because I learned this recently. Companions are how you have upward of 100 cards in your commander deck. Because your commander counts as part of your 100. Your companions do not.
I thought they did. I've been playing with a 97 card deck with two commanders and a companion.
They don't. You go to 101 because it's coming out of your sideboard.
That's way less charming to me.
It's like I said, I learned it as well.
Someone
asked it on a forum I was in, and everyone chimed in with the official answer, and I was like, I think I knew that's how it worked, but I guess it makes sense. Maybe.
Said I'm selling the deck. I'm off it.
But you got to have 101. What if they sell sleeves in packs of 100?
Most sleeves come with an extra sleeve or two.
They do.
They were planning ahead.
True. All right. Well, last topic we want to touch on is the big one. It is All is One. It is Phyrexia. And call it a leak if you want. Call it spoilers if you want. From what I understand, Wizards accidentally released...
You can't call it spoiler. It's just a leak, man. That was...
Well, Wizards accidentally released the cards, right? In Dominaria Remastered.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
I think it's a mistake. I don't think it was on purpose. If that's what...
What I'm saying, I don't think it was like WotC secretly snuck cards into packs for a cool spoiler season. I think someone just like snagged some boxes off the factory floor and claimed it was in DMR packs.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know enough about it, but possibly.
If any of these cards were preview cards for other people, which I'm pretty sure they were.
Oh, almost certainly.
Then those wires getting crossed means it is a leak.
Well, most of the... Okay, I mean, sure, you can look at it that way. Most of the set, or at least most of the rares, I think, have been spoiled at this point.
It actually kind of... It really sucks for us, because every single one of those cards was our preview card, too.
Good point, DJ. Hey, look at it. If no cards are your preview card, every card's your preview card.
We're making... We are seizing the means of preview production.
Seizing the means of preview production. Wow, that's how I'm sharing that next time.
We had like a whole advent calendar for every single card in the set that was going to go across like a month. That's why they delayed the release date of that set, was to give us more preview cards.
Leaking Phyrexia is doing an anti-capitalism. Thank you, comrade.
Can we just like have the USSR anthem just like play right now for a couple seconds? Just like salutes.
We are seizing the means of spoiler production.
I was watching a Twitch
It was
streamer.
this, or take Blake into a back room, tie him up, and...
I was watching a Twitch streamer, and he had like an American flag in the background of his webcam, and I told him if he played, I song requested like the USSR anthem, and I said, the longer you play this song, like if you get the drop that you're hunting for while this song is playing, I will donate $50.
Did it work? Did you donate?
He played it for like 10 minutes. Then he's like, no, I gotta do other song requests, man. But like he was incentivized to keep the song on for as long as possible.
Good for you.
Deeply
man.
Funny.
All right, so look, this is a trend as it turns out for Phyrexia, because little history here. When new Phyrexia came out, or rather right before it came out, it was leaked in its entirety because the new Phyrexia God Book got leaked. Because what Wizards did at the time is they shared the God Book, which is all of the cards in the set, with publications, so that like we're in a world of physical publications here.
Magazines.
Literal magazines.
Periodicals.
Yes. That had Magic players previewing cards in the new set, Magic Pros previewing cards in the new set. So they were given the cards in advance. Now the problem, as you might guess, is that those were, you heard it, players getting the cards in advance, which upset a lot of people. And guess what? They didn't keep it to themselves. They shared it with one or two people, blah, blah, blah.
I believe
it gets out.
I believe the original story was like somebody doubted his ability to have the cards. He's like, you don't have the cards? He's like, yeah, I do. Prove it. Okay.
That's not what
I
happened.
remember that, but...
As far as I know,
I don't remember that.
What happened was the person who had it sent it to a friend for some feedback on the article.
Yes.
And then that person like couldn't keep their mouth shut and told everybody.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
ends up all getting out. They were players, Pro Tour players, Hall of Famers.
Are they both Hall of Famers now? I know one.
Their names are public. Like this is
it's Guillaume Wafutaba
it's the Guillaumes.
And Guillaume Matignon, and Matignon is not in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Wafutaba
super deserves to be, just like
big
fan.
Yeah, Guillaume Bagnon was a Player of the Year candidate. I don't remember if I think he might have lost to Brad Nelson in 2010.
He lost in the sudden death match.
Yep. Okay. Well, there we go. Look at us. We're pulling out some history. Yeah. So, long story short, it turns out the whole world had new Phyrexia weeks before it came out. And it was a massive, massive thing. And of course, this led the Wizards going, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to give our pro players cards before everyone else who's a pro player. Maybe that's a little bit up. So they stopped doing that.
And then they reversed that decision when they gave us all those preview cards. Right?
Well,
that's true. Well, none of us are pros.
Yeah, they also don't give out the God Book, right? There's a difference between having access to one card and being able to, like, they could have drafted early before the Pro Tour. Like,
Well, we got we got like the whole set here. Like they gave Brainstorm Brewery basically every card in the set.
Yes.
Yes.
To all the sets, actually.
It's true, actually. We have Wilds of Eldraine previews. Just I have them up on my monitor here. If you look at the reflection of my glasses, you'll actually see the new Oko.
Oh. Now everyone's zooming in.
Computer enhance.
Enhance.
Let's try and get the reflection.
So what do we think of the? We touched on but is this leak damaging? They said it was really damaging when new Phyrexia got leaked. They said that it cost like dollars, like lots of dollars to the company not being able to execute on their preview plan. So here we are, Phyrexia All will be one. We have the Pro Tour coming up in Philadelphia, the MagicCon coming up in Philadelphia. I'm sure there's going to be Phyrexia stuff all over that. This is a hugely hyped set, and here it is leaking out early. Is this a problem?
I think it will be internally damaging to Wizards, and nobody will notice.
I think content creators are going to suffer because of it just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I think that it's really hard for any one of the three of us to say whether or not this is damaging to the community, because we are people who are deeply obligated to look at these things for our careers. We have to look at these things. And I also think that any person who's a competitive player who doesn't look at these is doing themselves a disservice. And that kind of sucks. Like, at the very least, it's a feel bad. At the very worst, it's like actually damaging to WotC's marketing team.
I was looking at the leaks like 3 hours after they came out, sitting at my desk, pulling out fast lands and buy listing them to stores who have an automated buy list that is based on an algorithm, and just saying like, am I supposed to feel bad about this? Because like it is their responsibility too. Like they are in the same industry I'm in. It's just part of the business, is that me getting $6 per Darkslick Shores when the card's gonna be 50 cents in a few weeks. Like,
I'm sure they're fine with it. They've made their money on other cards from you.
Yes.
I feel I almost certainly have a bunch of those fast lands. For what it's worth, though, I like fast lands a lot. Now, I may not be as clued into the current mana bases of Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, blah blah blah, but I feel like fast lands still have a place, right?
Yeah.
So once they get reprinted, it's a nice opportunity, in my opinion. Once they're reprinted,
they're going to be massively impactful in Pioneer, where like half the decks in the format just have horrible mana because they don't have a fast land.
Yeah.
There's probably been like a reasonable white aggro deck splashing blue in Pioneer for a while. That just hasn't been possible because Chrome Coast didn't exist.
Yeah, the mana will definitely help. Remember that if you've been more Magic history here, but there was once a time when that was a thing in Modern. Was when are we going to get mana fixing for every deck?
The pre KTK shot the pre KTK fetch land era.
I remember recently looking at like Modern lists from that era. And all the Birthing Pod decks had just like the worst mana base. Like, they had to play Misty Rainforest in their Abzan deck so that they could.
I'm gonna go look. That sounds amazing.
You had to fetch for Shocklands so much more back then because you just didn't have Wooded Foothills, which is the most important fetch land for your
DJ. These decks have.
No, I was on the Naya version where you got to play Grove of the Burmillows and the Kiki Jiki Resto.
Well, that one was fine, except for the fact that your mana base was ruined because of Kiki Jiki being in your deck.
Do you all remember when Gavany Township was a player?
You potted into that creature. It's fine.
I just pulled up a deck that someone had played. They had multiple Gavany Townships in their deck. They used to be a top tier Modern card.
I mean, one of the best Modern decks right now is a 2-color deck with Rancid mana. Yawgmoth just like has horrible mana.
It does somehow have horrible mana.
All your
it
cards
shouldn't
have
actually
like
be
6
possible,
on them,
but it does.
Yeah.
I love just there was a screenshot on Twitter recently of just like a hand with 5 mana dorks and a Twilight Mire, just like cursed image.
Big I think it was right there.
I think it was 2 Twilight Mires, which is the funny part because you.
Yep, Twilight Mire and anything else works even, but yeah.
Never play 2 Twilight Mires. That's my competitive advice for the day.
I had a Modern brew. I guess technically I still have it of a Mardu Eldrazi. You want to talk some bad mana, but now they printed Triomes.
That's a 4-color deck.
It is. It was rough. I won't lie. It was rough. But Battlefield Forge was really good.
Yeah.
It was it was mostly like at the time it worked because you just had all the best removal, right? You got Inquisition, Botsy's Bolt, Path. Now it's a completely different world. I haven't even attempted to look at it, but yeah, old Modern times were pretty fun.
Battlefield Forge is a card that has like a weird legacy of being really like ever since the Eldrazi got printed, there was a a buddy of mine at an SCG event years and years ago where he was scrambling before the round 1 of the Legacy event started, asking everybody for Battlefield Forges and Flame Tongue copies, and everyone was like, why the hell do you need those? And then he's on camera in round 3 against Ely Cassis, and Ely like plays a Monastery Mentor, and over the next 3 turns he just flickers Flame Tongue Cobb with Eldrazi Displacer over and over again to kill all the tokens in the Mentor. And just like very easily wins on camera. So
Battlefield Forge, let's go.
It's a Thailand.
It also was on the back of that, DJ talked about this last week, that golf hole card.
Yeah. I actually have the stickers for that. Whenever I get one in, I just like
ridiculous.
Peel the sticker and throw it on my printer.
See if you just saw all these extra golf holes. Is that I've never seen one in person. Is it just a sticker on the front?
Yeah, it's just like a thin sticker, yeah.
So they were actually just testing Unfinity.
When they get it off my printer here. That's really on there. They're really good stickers, actually. They're like the perfect amount of adhesive to not actually be stuck to the card.
Yeah.
And also not fall off.
That's kind of cool.
We are living in the future of glue technology, is what I'm saying.
Well, I haven't messed with attractions or stickers from Unfinity, so Fair. I don't know how they are. Somebody in my play group now has an attraction deck, so that's dumb. I just got to say. We were talking about how companions are the only part of your sideboard in Commander. You also have to have your attraction deck. Also, if anyone at your table has an attraction card, you should have an attraction deck in case you steal their card and need to open a new attraction.
I want you to know that if I try and steal your attraction card and I don't have an attraction deck, I deserve to lose the game and I'm a better person for it.
I agree. It's ridiculous. Oh, I do agree with that, though. All right, well, before we move on here, is there anything from Phyrexia that we think is going to be super relevant in the short term as for any other cards?
I can hop in if that's cool.
Yeah, I figure I was tossing this one up for you.
I think a card in the set that's potentially relevant is Venerated Rot Priest. Full spoiler alert here. Venerated Rot Priest is a 1 green mana 1/1 toxic 1, which is
it's a 1/2.
Is it a 1/2? Oh, the toughness is covered up on the image we have. 1 mana 1/2 toxic 1. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. It has already caused the card Ground Rift from Time Spiral, and I guess Time Spiral Remastered to shoot up in price a little bit to like $1.
I got bought out of it.
I think that is relevant.
Around, I gotta find.
That is potentially relevant as long as Underworld Breach stays legal, I think. It also means maybe you take your long box of Niv Magus Elementals that you've been holding on to for years. Maybe their time to shine is now.
That is an old school spec, yeah.
I mean, Niv Magus Elemental plus Ground Rift plus Underworld Breach might be a thing too. Like, you have 2 different creatures that basically just kill.
I've played that deck before with the Ground Rifts. They're pretty cool. Like, it does sometimes work.
Yeah.
So Phyrexian Arena has been reprinted 17,000 times, but this is the one that will break its knees, I think. This is the reprint that makes Phyrexian Arena a $1, maybe $2 card, I expect.
Is it at rare in the set?
Yeah. It is rare, and it is also a card that has just silently been power crept out of Commander over the past 5 years, and nobody's really, like, sort of vocalized that to my knowledge. Maybe they have, but like,
that's kind of true.
It's still just always been this $8 to $10 rock.
Yeah. It's a solid card. It's never great.
I agree. Like, it's still fine. I don't feel bad playing in Arena, but it is not what it was 10 years ago.
This is a card that I will forever be happy to pay 50 cents on buy list on now, whereas I used to have to pay like $6.
Yep.
And I'll pay 50 cents on this card forever, even if it's like only $1. You know, it will sell. I think this card doesn't become any less popular. It just becomes a lot cheaper, which honestly makes it more popular.
Yeah. Well, I love cards like that because they just, DJ's right. It may just die and be $1, but it may be $1 and then be $5 if they let it go for a few years.
Well, like that. This is the kind of card we were talking about, where if they do this to every single $10 card and make every $10 card $1, that's not great.
I agree. Yeah, I do agree with that.
But like, I think it's Arena's time, you know?
Yes, yes.
But like, maybe it wasn't Diabolic Intent and Fauna Shaman's time.
Well, I don't see any of that slowing down or stopping, but like we always talk about, adapt or don't. But there are still cards. Yeah, there are still cards that go up in price. So like, it's not like there's, we're bemoaning some cards dropping. We should, that's not a bad thing in a lot of different ways. So yeah. And speaking of cards that are not dropping, that's what Pick of the Week is for.
Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week. with the pick of the week.
And that is why it is time for Pick of the Week, sponsored, as always, by our generous sponsor, MTG Stocks, the best in the business when it comes to financial tools, and, of course, the best place outside of the Brainstorm Brewery Patreon to get a premium membership. So you can get some personalized alerts. You can set up tracking. Anything you want, MTG Stocks has it for you financially, and that is why we are proud to have them as a sponsor. Now, it is time for Pick of the Week, and I'm going to start things off here, and I discovered a card recently looking through new stuff, and I feel like this card it came out a little hot out of the gates. It's brand new. This is a Brothers War commander set thing, and it's $1, and I like it a lot. Sardian Avenger. Are you all familiar with this? Okay. It's a 1 and a red. It's a 1/1 first strike trample. When it attacks, it gets +X/+O until the turn, where X is the number of artifacts your opponent control. When an artifact your opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, Sardian Avenger deals 1 damage to them. It's anti-treasure tech if you can't read between the lines.
No.
And I just feel like, look, I can't even begin to tell you how good it actually is. I just know that everyone really hates treasure these days.
Is it a goblin?
It is a goblin warrior, yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm into that one.
And Viridian Revel is over $1 and keeps popping up and back down, as that card's done several times over the past few treasure-filled years. So Sardian Avenger just feels like a card to me. We're going to get some new treasure cards, and people are going to like, I hate treasure. And they're going to build a Sardian Avenger in their decks, and it's going to pop up. But yeah, I mean, it's an extra out of a Brothers War commander. So take that for what you will as far as supply and everything else. But yeah, I mean, the full art version of it is only $1 right now. Very cheap.
The regular versions are only in set boosters, right?
I didn't study for this quiz.
Yeah. Honestly, like I said, I don't know, because there's so many different printings. I just know this is a commander deck card for it, not a booster set card.
Because it wasn't actually in the commander precons. For Brothers War, yeah.
Right, that was my take too, because it's only, yeah.
It's not Old Border.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on. But yeah, all right. Cass, what are you looking at?
I was pricing some cards to list for sale, and I noticed that Counterbalance has almost a $20 direct versus regular TCG player spread. Card is
Cold Snap Counterbalance?
Cold Snap Counterbalance only has one real printing. The other printing is a masterpiece, which I don't count. Cards like $21, $22 low, and there are direct copies listed and sold for over $40. Cold Snap kind of doesn't exist.
Who's buying this card right now?
Legacy players. It's played as a sideboard card in Blue-Red Delver to win mirror matches, mostly. And it does not take a lot of push on this card for it to get expensive.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's also kind of a weird one to reprint.
Yeah.
I mean, you can Secret Lair it, you can Double Masters it, but like the list card, but like it's definitely not a standard or commander reprint card, that's for sure.
Yeah. What if they did though? What if they just put Counterbalance into a commander precon?
I'd love it, honestly. Just like reprint like the Aminatou, like make a new Aminatou deck and put Counterbalance in it.
Yeah, Aminatu's fun.
Okay, I'm only a fan of that if they make that deck extremely obnoxious to play and play against. Like put Sensei's Top in it, just put a Terminus, just put everything in it, and then make the deck like $100 as a precon.
Honestly, yeah, just make like another Secret Lair precon that takes a year to ship, and like, yeah,
make it the kind of deck that only obnoxious people play.
Okay, well, look, let's be clear. Warhammer 40K was pushing the limits of what they can do for power level and commander decks. Wait till you've got CEDH Legends precons.
We already have that. It's called Double Masters 2022 and Dominaria Remastered and all that.
I just want to see Wizards put together like Cold Snap decks to play against each other or Counterbalance decks to play against each other out of the box. Like if Terminus top Counterbalance is one of the four, what are the other three? You know,
I want to
play that game.
I want to see the like Professor Precon battle video where someone just plays a Counterbalance, then counters the next 3 spells, and like Post Malone rage quits and storms off. I would pay for tickets to that show.
And then the pre-con also has like new cards that are very clearly legacy staples, and then Gavin's like, sorry, we just didn't test them.
It's like Miracle Zero Source of Flash is a creature draw card.
Yeah, just sorry, we didn't test it for legacy, you know?
It's fine. Yeah.
So my card was probably not tested for legacy. This is my pick of the week is a Commander 2018 card with no other reprints, and it follows the current pick of the week trend of having a like 1,000,000,000% direct premium. Turn Timber Sower is a 3-mana 3/3. Whenever one or more land cards are put in your graveyard from anywhere, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. You could pay green, sacrifice the creatures, return target land from your graveyard or your hand. Land graveyard stuff / landfall stuff has been very popular. We got Lord Windgrace. We have Lord Windgrace 2.0. And this is a card that was a bulk rare for a very long time. It has crept up to around 4. I've been selling them a lot because I had mine listed at $2.99 for a while. I noticed I sold out of all mine. And then when I went to relist them, the direct premium is $9.99.
Dang.
So there are sold copies of this card for $10, which means that Commander players are looking at it, they're looking at the price tag, or they're not, and they're not caring. And they're still buying it, which means that if you want your copies, you should probably order them now.
Yeah,
We've
that
seen
is a pretty good trend, I think, to follow.
We've also seen an influx in recent years of Lands Matter, like Land Death Matters cards.
Yes.
And this fits perfectly into those decks. And as we see more of those cards like this will continue to creep up.
I'm looking at this collector booster card next to me here. This Green Sleeves is another one recent. That's a landfall themed $20 card.
Green Sleeves?
It is called Green Sleeves Morrow Sorcerer, yeah.
The card is pretty sweet.
It is. It's a $20 card, though. It's a star, 5 mana protection for Planeswalkers, Wizards. Power toughness equal to number of lands. Make a 3/3 whenever you landfall.
If it has protections from Wizards, how did they make the card?
Well, they can make it, but they can't ban it. They can't target it with the ban hammer.
They can't ban it, that's right. Well, fortunately, the Commander's Rule Committee is not Wizards of the Coast, so this card is not safe.
True.
And neither is Elesh Norn.
It needed protection.
Oh, gosh.
It needed protection from advisors.
I knew I shouldn't have gotten protection
for advisors.
I knew I should not have waded into. I waded into that discourse last week about. Oh man, I shouldn't have about the Elesh Norn thing. I think it's ridiculous to think that card's bannable in any way or unprintable in any way. But here we are.
You know, just put a go for the throat in your deck. It's thematic.
It's just play Terror. I think that's offensive to Commander players, though.
But if it's thematic, it's a lore include, not a removal include.
You can get them there. Yeah, that's how you trick them into playing good cards. I have some thoughts about interaction in Commander, if you can't tell. But look, the only interacting that you should be doing is with Coalesce Apparel. Using the Brainstorm Brewery gift code, Brainstorm Brewery. Go check out Coalesce Apparel. Look, we want to talk about our new shirt over there, the Brainstorm Brewery shirt that looks like a brainstorm with Cass on it, and it looks amazing. I'm not going to lie. It is on the homepage of Coalesce Apparel's website. Go to Coalesce Apparel, use that gift code, Brainstorm Brewery. Support us, support this podcast, support Cedric and Coalesce, because that company is doing a lot of good in the Magic content creator space.
Listen, there's so many motivational speakers out there. There's so many New Year's resolution guides and like just ways to change your life for the better in 2023. We have the easiest one. Just buy the shirt 2 sizes smaller. You'll want to wear it.
2 sizes smaller, you say?
I believe on Coalesce Apparel and Design's website it says to buy a size up because they have a more athletic fit, which I haven't had a problem with. They have some of the most comfortable fits of any shirts I own. That's not even me talking for the sponsors. I don't even get any money from it, but like they are comfy.
I agree. As someone who exclusively wears Magic t-shirts at this point, I just got this old CFP shirt on like always because I just have set championship t-shirts and CFP t-shirts but the Coalesce ones are certainly at the top tier when it comes to quality. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. You need to take care of that shirt. It's reserve list. The CFB one.
It's reserve list. I have like the last event I work. I took like 3 extra. We had a giant box, and I was like, I kind of like these shirts, and I get it for like people like, this is the staff shirt, right? So like when you're working and people see this shirt, like you're on staff, okay? But like I just wear this shirt at home all the time. I think it's cool. My kid loves the little logo, right? My baby loves to poke it ballsy, as it were.
I wish you hadn't named it.
I did not name it. In case you were curious, that is the official name of the Channel Fireball mascot. That is not me. That is not my child.
That's not official anymore. That
is corporate lore.
That's why it died, actually. That's why Channel Fireball went under.
Well, that might
I
be
clicked
fair.
on a link to a Channel Fireball article the other day, and it, like, my phone, like 120 degrees, started, like, vibrating.
Oh, man.
It's not a good scene.
Started mining Bitcoin.
It's true.
It's just a few years ago we were talking about CFB's big marketplace that was gonna. I mean, none of us thought it would upend TCG Play or anything, but
I will say I bought a lot of cards there.
It
was one of the cleanest marketplaces to buy cards on. It was so nice.
it had some things going for it and some things not.
It had Pokemon vendors who did not reprice their cards more than once a month.
Well, that part doesn't suck, I would imagine.
Yeah, that part was great.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've outlived Channel Fireball, so you've made it a long time in Magic. That's how you're still here. ECG Player Bay may own us all, but not this podcast, not yet.
But if they would like to, our contact email is.
Yeah, if you would like to reach out and sponsor us again, just saying. We will specifically talk about how Channel Fireball did not go out of business because of the sweatshops Jason used to talk about. We won't ever talk about that if you sponsor us. So, okay. Check it out, brainstormbrewer@gmail.com. And that goes for all of you listeners as well. Send us some questions. It's been a while since we've had a mailbag, a Q&A. I would actually love to have some financy questions or anything else you want to ask. We'll slightly review them before we read them. You don't want to get spoiled on... We want fresh answers, but, we'll see how appropriate some of your questions are. Anyway, brainstormbrewer@gmail.com. We want to hear from you.
And just to do a little bit of end of episode cleanup, I just want to let everyone know that Jason is okay. He's just taking a break from the podcast right now, and Magic in general, kind of. He's been a little burnt out, so don't just at him on Twitter asking where he's been. I don't think he'd.
Yeah, let the man have a break, and we'll go from there. All right, well, I think that wraps it up for us this week. I've got nothing until the Pro Tour. DJ, I know, is pretty busy. Cass, what are you up to over the next month? You got any shows or anything you're vending?
Yeah, I'm doing New Jersey. I'll probably be in New Jersey when this episode drops, I think, actually, the SCG Con. Besides that, I'm doing Philly and my normal buying and selling at home.
Nice. All right, well, thank you to both of you, as always, for an excellent episode. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to all of you at home for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. If you want to check it out on YouTube at youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery, we would appreciate the like and the subscribe and all of that. And if you're listening to this in a podcast, we always appreciate all of our community at patreon.com/BSB.
If you go to patreon.com/BSB and give us $1 a month,
$1.
That generates like $16 for you in podcast dollars, which if you translate that to Coalesce dollars, that makes you even more money with a 10% gift code. And then if you convert that into MTG stocks dollars, then you
are churning for sure. Yeah.
That's called arbitrage right there.
See ya.
Think financially minded. Save for your future. Subscribe to BSB Patreon.